Welcome to Weekly Picks, where each week we spotlight standout stock narratives from our investing community. This week we're looking at three very different plays: a high upside sensor name, a freight giant tied to reshoring, and a complex but intriguing European turnaround. Let's start with MicroVision from the Wall Street King. This narrative centers on MicroVision's pivot to defense, building a base of higher margin recurring revenue and reducing reliance on long, choppy automotive cycles. Instead of just being a speculative LiDAR bet, it's framed as an emerging multi-vertical sensor supplier. If defense contracts eventuate and the automotive pipeline converts, the company could shift towards real scale and a clear path to profitability. On the numbers, the narrative pins fair value at $60 per share. It's a sharp, catalyst-heavy take on a name that's usually driven by hype rather than structured analysis. Next up, a Canadian National Railway narrative from Tibet. Here, recent softness in the share price is contrasted with a powerful structural tailwind, North American reshoring. As production and supply chains move back closer to home, CN's tri-coastal network stands to benefit from rising freight volumes across the continent. Even if the reshoring wave arrives more slowly than expected, the narrative argues that the downside is limited thanks to the company's scale and network advantages. The narrative sets fair value at $132.87 Canadian, viewing the stock as effectively fair value. But what makes it compelling is how it turns a boring railroad into a forward-looking macro play with clear scenarios for different reshoring outcomes. Now let's move on to AGFA with a narrative from RecMag. This story tracks a long-running restructuring and it distills it into a focused turnaround case. AGFA is moving away from declining film revenues towards digital imaging, industrial inkjet, and advanced materials like zircon, aiming to replace legacy sales with higher margin recurring revenue streams. Balance sheet gains from divestments and legal resolutions help fund that transition, but the narrative is clear in that restructuring pressures and hefty pension obligations still weigh heavy on the story. Fair value is set at €5.39 per share, implying the stock is about 86.5% undervalued. It's a grounded but optimistic turnaround pitch that balances opportunity with very real baggage. So what should you do with this pick? First, use the author's work as your own starting point. Set their narrative fair values as your own, so that you know when each stock looks like a buy, hold, or a sell based on a clear thesis, not a headline or a hunch. Next, head to the comments on each narrative and ask the authors any questions you may have. Afterwards, don't forget to explore the thousands of other stock narratives on the community page, covering everything from high-growth tech to steady compounders and deep value turnarounds. And if you've got your own stock you know inside and out, turn your own thinking into a narrative. Put down the story, the forecast, and the fair value and share it with the community. If it meets our featuring criteria, it could be seen by millions of investors and might even show up as a future weekly pick. So that's it for this week. We'll see you on the next one.